Hello everyone, I'm Alvarez and this is Alvarez Metalworks. It's time to get some work done finally, okay? Been working on a buddy's truck pretty much all day, but we're going to get underneath this thing today. We're going to make some stuff happen. We're going to start working on removing the IFS, the independent front suspension, out of this bad boy. And initially I wanted to unbolt stuff as much as possible, salvage some of the parts, sell them, what have you. Now I don't care, okay? Now we're just going to try to get it out. So that means we're going to be using this. My good friend right here, my Everlast Power Plasma 50. That's the I don't give a shit plasma cutter. And we're going to start cutting it all out. The only thing that I'm going to make sure that I unbolt is the torsion bars. The torsion bars, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, a torsion bar is a spring essentially for a lot of IFS independent front suspensions that don't have coilover springs. They use a bar that acts as a spring. It twists. I'll show you that when I get underneath. But because it's loaded up, I want to make sure that I adjust it out, get the tension off of it, get it removed out of there, so that this way when I start cutting on the front suspension, that thing doesn't unload and spin something around and hurt me. You know, just got to be smart there. So, got something else over here too. Let me show you. What we got here is one of the 4 coilovers. The other 3 are in the house. This is a front. The difference between the front and rear is this is a remote reservoir here. Right here where it attaches to the shock, the front ones have the 90-degree swivel joint. The rears do not. The rears, just the hose comes straight out the side. Reason being is based on how I'm going to mount them on the truck and where I'm going to mount the remote reservoirs, it works better to have the straight hose coming out of the body than it does to have that 90-degree. Whereas in the front, the 90-degree works better. The other difference is the valving inside, which is something I can't show you, and then spring rates. The fronts have a higher spring rate than the rear because the front has more weight. So I'm going to do a video specifically about a dual rate coilover shock and how they work, kind of how to set them up, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now, but here's what I'm going to tell you. What a dual rate coilover does is you have 2 rates of springs. You have this spring here, which is your tender spring. It's your smaller one. It's used more for, you know, the small bumps in the road. And then you have your big main spring here, which is a longer spring than your tender spring, and that's the one that's going to take your big impacts. Okay, when you're driving down the road, this spring is working. You have this little collar right here that you can see in here. What this collar is, you adjust this and tighten it up once you get it to the adjusted point. This little collar here is a sliding point on the shock. So as this compresses, because this spring rate's smaller, this will slide up. Eventually it will make contact with this collar, and that's when this spring will no longer work as far as compressing. It will only compress until that hits the collar, and then this spring gets put into play. So with that being said, that's basically how these things work. Like I said, I'm going to have a big, much longer video about that, but you know, that's the future. So for now, let's climb underneath this pig and start making some sparks and making things happen. Okay, everyone. So here's the torsion bar adjuster underneath the truck. This bar right here is our torsion bar. Like I said, this is a spring. If we move forward, you can see where it attaches to the lower control arm here, and that is why we're taking the tension off the adjuster, because what this adjuster does is it's twisting the bar clockwise, and when your suspension cycles up, it's twisting the other end counterclockwise. So it's twisting it like a Twizzler. And this is spring steel, so it acts just like a coil spring, but it's actually, you know, it's doing it in a twisting fashion versus just compressing. So to avoid having this thing, you know, cause a lot of damage in the spring back, we're going to come in here and remove this. Now, I'm probably going to regret this, but what I decided to do versus toying around with unbolting the tension here, because I'm going to go ahead and just cut this bolt off. So sit tight. I'm going to get you guys set up so you can watch me potentially get seriously injured. Don't try this at home. But this is the way things go in my shop sometimes. So this should spring out here pretty soon. I'm going to probably hit it with a hammer. The head of the bolt's off. So give me a second to grab a hammer. Yes, this is a framing hammer, and no, I don't care. Closest hammer that I could find. Just like that, tension's off. Okay, so now let me explain to you guys why I took that chance. Not just because I'm being careless, but that front suspension is cycled all the way down as far as it can go. Now, in adjusting these previously, I know where they sat with zero tension on them. And I knew that if the thing lifted up in the air, the upper arm loose and that lower arm just swinging, there's not a shock, anything other than the steering and holding tension on that lower arm. So that means this spring I knew would probably not have very much tension put on here, and I was right. It didn't really move at all. So that's why I took the chance. It wasn't me just being lazy, but yeah, part of it was me being lazy too. So the top side of this has this pivot washer, 2 nuts, but that's a lot of threads to try to back out of there that are covered in crap. So it is what it is. Tension's off. So I'm going to come over here to this other one. I'm going to do the same thing, and then we're going to get to work on getting the actual torsion bar out of there intact in one piece, and then, you know, we'll start cutting up the rest of the front end. Don't do that. See that? Easily 1.25 inch shaft. Like butter. Okay, so you guys saw me making a mess and being a little careless. That point in the video where you guys saw that squirt, what that was is I kicked the brake caliper and it compressed the piston and shot brake fluid out the caliper. So that could have been a fire. And yes, I'm being very careless, and no, I don't care. Get over it. I'm trying to get the job done. This is my vehicle, not a customer's. I'm fine. With that being said, I got the control arms out of both sides. The other one's over here on the ground. Basically, both sides of the truck look like this. Got the strut rod bracket cut off. The diff is still inside of here. I decided not to take that off in this video because I have to take the drive shaft off, and I still have to get the torsion bars out of there. I didn't ever take them out yet. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up, make this a short one. When you guys come back for the next part of this build, you'll see, this whole section completely removed here. And I'll start working on plating the frame. I'm going to have that upper shock mount taken off. Everything will be smooth, just smooth frame rail like you see right here. Then I'm going to work on reinforcing the frame and getting things ready to mock up the front axle, which is sitting there. All right. So thanks for watching, you guys. Like always, subscribe, comment, like, and remember to check out roarksupply.com. They've been a big help to me with supplies and stuff, and they're going to give you 10% off anything you order from them. Use coupon code METAL. Save yourself a ton of money. So that works as many times as you want to use it, so have at it. Go like me on Facebook. I started an Instagram page. You can try to find me on there. I'll put the link down in the description. I think Instagram sucks. But for the sake of putting more content out there for you guys, I decided to do it. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.